Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, Try by K, and today I am going to be showing you guys how I turn this suit that was gifted to me, appreciative of the person that gave it to me. This suit was gifted to me, and I've lost a lot of weight, as you can see, over the last couple weeks. And I honestly would have worn the suit just like this, with a couple alterations, but I had to put a little bit of a twist to it. And I'm excited because I was able to capture everything on camera. So that's what I'll be showing you today. I first started by seam ripping right from the bottom of the pants leg, and I just open it up because most of the time when you open up that one seam that's locking everything together at the bottom, you'll be able to just like tear the rest open. Be careful though, because sometimes it will rip. However, in this case, I was able to seam rip all the way through. And that's what I'm showing you here. Just seam, or not seam ripping, but actually ripping. Next, I put the pants on and I figured out where I wanted the length, and I pinned with my pins. After pinning, I overlapped the pants leg, and that allowed me to create that skirt look. So basically, just overlap the pants leg and make sure that they're really tight and close together, so that way you have a nice seam down the front of your skirt. And after doing so, I cut where I wanted my pant, or I'm sorry, where I wanted my skirt length to go, but added maybe about an inch or two just to make sure that I had enough to do my seam allowance. Don't throw out that material. Keep it, because what you'll do with that is create your top. Here I'm just showing you that I pinned the skirt a little bit more just to make sure that it was not like loose in the front, no open seams or anything like that. And this is how it should look once you pin it. Just looks like a skirt. Not sewn yet, but it does look more like a skirt than the pants. Next, I went to the top of the skirt at both of the side seams, and about a half an inch is what I wanted to take in, because my waist needed that. I needed to take in the waist part. So I just made sure to take in on both sides about an inch, so, or half an inch, I'm sorry. And that would allow me to make a tighter waist for the skirt. And just cut away. When you pin, there's going to be some extra fabric from the pants leg. So just make sure you cut away all that, but don't cut away where you would need to sew. I cannot emphasize that as much as I can. I've done it tons before. Luckily, you can always fix things. I told my daughter the other day, fashion is making things better. You can't make it worse. So if you did make that mistake, don't worry. I'm pretty sure you can fix it by just pinning and, sewing, and maybe even adding fabric that you cut away to, make maybe like a new design or like a cute slit in the front of the skirt. And moving on to the blouse, I opened those two pieces that I told you to put to the side and I turned them inside out on top of each other using a top or a swimsuit top that I bought from Shein. I traced the outline, adding about 2 inches. And I did that because you guys, like I said, you can make the mistake of taking away too much material. But with tops, I really tried to pay attention to that because this material had no stretch. While I am going to use a zipper, I still wanted to have enough room to add my zipper. And I wanted to make sure that I had enough room to get in with ease and not ripping anything. So here I'm just cutting around the corners and the sides. The sides, I don't add as much because I don't want it to be really, really loose. But that bottom portion and the top portion of the straps, just make sure you add about an inch. But the bottom portion, you want to make sure that you add at least 2 inches. I use pins to make sure that the fabric didn't move, but that part did move a little bit, and that happens. But just make sure that you put it right back so that way both sides are the same. And this is how your top should look after being cut out. After cutting out your pattern, you just want to pin along the sides and at the top, as I'm doing here. So I pin at the top, and these are just indicators of where you'll need to sew. And I went in and sewed. I used a straight stitch, and just showing you here, just putting it under the machine and run it through. And again, that side seam. And like I said, a great way to know where you need to sew. I would say look at the pattern that you are mocking, and just, pin exactly where they have their seams on that pattern that you're marking. So I pinned, like I said, at the top to attach the straps, and then I pinned down the sides, and that's exactly where you would want to sew the fabric. And again, like I said, I just used a straight stitch because this isn't a stretch fabric, so the zigzag stitch wasn't necessary. Now this was for me, so I did not serge at all. I didn't serge anything. I typically will run things under a serger, and that's just to make sure that the inside of the fabric is flat and nice and neat. But I did not serge in this video, so I just made sure to backstitch and tie all of my loose threads, and of course cut all of the loose threads that will not be needed. But just make sure that you do not cut the threads that are running into your fabric. And again, just sewing up the sides. I promise you all, I did not mean to make this video this long, but it took me about 2 hours of constant working to get this project done. And I didn't realize the video was going to be 30 minutes. So I want to say I'm sorry, but it's 2 hour video that I had to edit down to make informative, but I wanted to make sure that you saw all the clips and that I gave you as much information that you would need if you wanted to try to make this at home yourself. So 2 hours versus 30 minutes, and I did speed up everything. And I try not to talk so much through this whole thing, but like I said, I want to be informative too for people that are going to try this at home. It's not a hard project, but it is going to take some time for you to sew and, make those pattern pieces or cut out your pattern pieces. So that's just what I wanted to say. I don't want to talk too much, but I am going to hop in every now and again just to explain kind of what I'm doing. And I believe this is the skirt portion. And for the skirt portion, remember those half inches that I told you to take in on the side? That's what I'm sewing right here. And I'll show you in the video. I'll at least try to show you what I'm doing, so that way you can have a better idea of what to do when you get to that top part. Because when you sew, you're taking in and there's going to be some leftover material that can possibly create a hole. And you don't want that hole to show while wearing your skirt. That's a no-no. So what I did was, I'll show you what I did here. Right now, I'm actually just doing the part that was a pants leg that I pinched in. So basically you would need to just run that under the machine, a straight stitch, making sure that you go all the way up until where the original seam would have been. But again, we're making a skirt, so you would have excuse me, you would have had to pinch in and then just basically sew up. And cut off, like I said, that remaining material. We won't need that, and it'll create a really nasty bulge in your skirt. For the back part, do the same thing, just sew right up. And I said the back part, but I mean the back of the skirt. because that was a pants leg too. So remember, you have to pinch in the front and the back, and then again just a straight stitch up and lock them in with going frontwards, backwards a couple times. And again, make sure that you tie, hand tie, and cut and burn those remaining threads. So here's where I'm going to show you how to fix that part where you took in the side portion. Now you see I'm cutting. Now that would have actually been a nasty little hole. So I start right at the side, and then I just basically sew up until I meet that side where we took in that 1/2 inch. And I'll show you again because I know you can't really see what I'm doing on the machine. You just see that I'm sewing. So I want to give you more of a detailed view of what I mean when I say start at the side. Again, just cutting off that extra fabric that will create a bulge. And so here I'll show you, yep, right down that side portion for where you took in that 1/2 inch. You want to start there and just go right into the side where your hip would lay, or where your side would lay in the skirt. Back stitch to lock it in place, and that will fix that part that would have been a hole if you didn't sew it. And again, I'm going to show you just to make sure that you see what I did and how that looks in the end. So, and see, no hole. Here I'm hemming the skirt, and it's a simple hem, nothing major. I literally just pinned at all the seams. And just make sure that you pin, like I said, at all the seams. And again, just a straight stitch over the hem. And guys, like, I'm self-taught. Like, I taught myself everything that I know. And I mean, of course, with YouTube and just watching like different videos. I'm not sure if this is the correct way to do it. This is just what works for me. I'm always looking for new ways and new techniques when I sew. But like I said, this is what has worked for me in the past. I've never had an issue with my seams popping or my hem coming undone. But like I said, you just want to sew and lock everything in place with a back stitch. You can go as slow as you need to make sure that no seam is out of place, or no sew is out of place, I should say. I think I'm saying that right. You just want to make sure that it's nice and neat. So that's why I pin it in those specific places, and I just hold it in place until I get to that pin, remove it, and that's exactly how I hem everything that would need to be hemmed like this. And I straighten it up every now and again when I'm sewing, just to make sure that it's not grabbing any of the skirt from underneath. And again, just cut and tie. I am using a zipper to finish off my top. This is an invisible zipper. Guys, like I said, I have only sewed zippers a couple times. But the zipper does come with instructions, and I use them because it can be confusing when applying a zipper. But just take your time and, like I said, read those instructions because it can be kind of confusing. But while your fabric is right side out, so basically the right side of your fabric is up, you want to pin the zipper on the wrong side. So your zipper should be on the wrong side. And you want to just make sure that you're sewing down the wrong side. So that way, when you flip it over, you're going to pin it again on the wrong side. And you're going to sew up on the inside of the fabric. I know it doesn't probably make sense right now, but you'll see what I'm doing here. The zipper is the fabric is actually on the right side, but when I pin the zipper, I'm going to pin the wrong side of the zipper, and then I'm going to sew on that wrong side, so that way when you flip it open, your zipper will be exposed to the right side and you won't have any ugly seams on the outside of your zipper. And again, all the zippers I purchased come with instructions, and they are so detailed, and they have pictures just to, show you what and how to do it. I didn't get a really good close up of me placing the zipper down. You will need a zipper foot. So that's what I showed you there. If you're using a zipper foot, or if you're using a zipper, you will need a zipper foot to place that zipper in. And so I'm sewing here with my zipper foot. And again, that is the wrong side that I'm sewing. And it makes sense if you sew the wrong side and you flip that zipper over, then you're going to expose the zipper, the invisible zipper, to the right side, and it'll have the seam on the inside of the fabric and the zipper. I know this sounds like a lot, but I promise you, once you do it for the first time, it will all make sense. And depending on the project, you might not use an invisible zipper. You might need a zipper that shows the zipper, or you might use a all-purpose zipper. And that's totally fine. Like I said, whatever works for you or whatever you would need for that project. And again, I just basically did the same thing for the other side, pinned on the top portion of the fabric. So the right side of the fabric, I pinned the wrong side of the zipper, not the wrong side, but the inside of the zipper. And then I sewed up the inside of the zipper. So that way, when you flip it over, you're exposing the right side with clean stitches, no, stitch out of place, and you'll be able to utilize that zipper. Had to pop back in my regular sewing foot. And that was just to hem the top portion of my shirt or my top here. So that's all I'm showing you. Pin or push down with your finger and just sew right along that bottom portion. I only folded in about 1/4 of an inch of this fabric because I didn't want a big hemline. Just something really nice and neat to go, with the zipper. And here I'm hemming, just hemming the bottom of that top. And I actually use that same technique for the top part and the armholes. Nothing fancy, just a quarter of an inch in. I didn't even pin it because, like I said, this fabric, it didn't move a lot. I had a lot of control while it was under the machine. And then just pinch it down and sew with that straight stitch. And when you get to the other side of the zipper, excuse me, I'm so sorry. When you get to the side of the zipper, don't sew the zipper. Just stop right before, and I'll show you how I finished off the top portion of the zipper. So all I did was pinch in those flaps, just hem all the way around. And this is the top portion of the shirt, the top portion of the top. And so I went all the way around the top armhole or the top of the neck. Kinsley wanted to help me sew so bad. And again, just pinch and sew, pinch and sew. I like to use my sew foot as a guide as to how much I need to like sew around or under something. And that's just a good indicator to make sure that your stitches are equal all the way around. Use the zipper foot, and there are little measurements on your sew table that you can use as a guide too, to just make sure that your stitch is just accurate and completely just completely straight the whole way through. And to finish off that zipper, the top part of the zipper, I just pinched in that flap, like just literally pinched it in, made sure it was nice and neat at the top. And I'm just going to do a straight stitch right on top of it. And that's what I'll show you here. Just going to pinch it in, pinch. Actually, I think this was the armhole that I was pinching in and sewing. Guys, when I say this took 2 hours of constant work, it definitely was well worth it. However, like, my kids kept coming in. I stopped a couple times just to make sure that things look good. So, like I said, this was a 2 hour video that I cut down to 30 minutes or so. And I appreciate if you guys were able to watch this all the way through, because I know it's long, but like I said, I wanted it to be informative and I wanted you to see exactly what I do when I sew. In here, again, I'm just going to pinch in that zipper flap and just sew right up just a straight stitch right down the flap to make sure that it's not sticking out and to just assure that my zipper won't fall out. Now with an invisible zipper, they usually have like these little notches that keep it in place anyway. But this is just the extra security for me, just to make sure that my zipper won't go flying out of the dang zipper trail. I'm not sure what was going on with my machine right here. I think it was like caught on that spool and had to cut a couple times, but now to finish off the outfit, I did just sew up the sides of the jacket. I love the way the jacket fit, honestly, because I can wear it with multiple outfits, and I love a oversized jacket. But I wanted it to just curve, at the hip and my waist a little bit more. And so that's exactly what I did. I just sewed up the two sides of the jacket, and it created more of a curve instead of like a straight up and down look. And again, make sure you secure things in place with a back stitch. And guys, that is it. I I know it was a lot. I know this video is long, but that's literally all I did. I just took a straight stitch up both sides of the jacket, and just made sure that everything was secure. I tried things on while sewing. I like I said, I would stop and just try things on, making sure that it fit, making sure that I wouldn't need to reopen my seams. And this again was the before. Yeah, sleepy, real sleep on this one. And like I said, I would have actually wore this if it was just a little bit more tight around my hips. But this is the after, and I'm in love with it. I'm really trying to get my suits together. And this was just one of those things that, I had time. I was like, let me show you guys how I can transform something like this. And I love the way it turned out. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. And if you did, don't forget to like and remember to subscribe. I have some goals I'm trying to hit, and I really want to just keep producing. And that's the way I know if I need to produce more. If you guys like, subscribe, and share. Drop this on somebody and let them know what I'm doing here. Otherwise, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, I'll be back with more content, but it's always nice to get feedback. So remember to like, share, and subscribe. Thank y'all so much.